All right, so we're back here to do Game 3 of the series between New York and Austin from last year's MLQ Championship semifinals. Me and Nick did the first one last week, and we'll be finishing it up now. Game 2, not much to miss. Austin kind of laid a beating down on New York, and now we get into the third game, which is really the climactic one. So, Nick, what are you kind of looking for in this game?
So I expect to see New York do a lot of what they did in Game 1. In Game 2, you kind of saw them get overwhelmed by Austin's athleticism, and Austin was able to transition for a lot of easier goals. So I would expect to see New York kind of slow down and try to limit the number of transition opportunities Austin gets.
All right, let's get started. Looks like Devin Lee just kind of outplayed the Austin Beaters in that play to get ball control and the ball.
And then he does the exact same thing Augie did in Game 1 and just gives it right away.
And I don't think his team was really ready to fast break with him anyway, even if he made that beat on Cole.
Mm-hmm. So Austin's still playing a little bit more compact this time. They're kind of sinking in.
I like the engage there by, I don't know if it was Devin or Tyler that engaged so that the other one could throw. It just made life a lot harder on Cole.
Yeah. I think it's super interesting to see him only use one hand there too.
It's probably just because they don't practice it as much, right? As the golf players did all season.
Yeah, I would think so. What do you think of that pass to Potter there?
I'm going to run it back once. So they force no bludger, right?
Mm-hmm. Ball comes to Crawford.
So I think Potter's just supposed to stay on the far hoop here, right?
Yeah.
And the problem is she cuts in?
No, I mean, I think the angle is really hard to get it across here. Like, he either needs to be... he needs to be taking this further behind. So he needs to... So right there, he starts the pass right there in line with the hoops.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So it's a really, really difficult pass to thread there through any arms. Even though Austin isn't in like a traditional tall keeper set right now, it's still a really hard pass to make.
Yeah, if he's 2 or 3 feet back, he has a straight across pass.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't want to teach bad habits. I actually do think Potter should come in here because if she stays flat, the ball takes longer to get to her. Odds are she gets beat, or whoever this is, I can't quite tell, steps out to her. But by coming to the ball, she'd actually probably get a better chance at a shot if the pass did end up hitting her.
Yeah, I think she needs to try and catch this right underneath that tall hoop and finish on that. But I don't hate her staying not right next to the hoops. Right. Because that's a more difficult pass. And she's proven she can make those little 3 to 5 foot shots very consistently.
Yep. It's really interesting that I feel like a lot of these games in the semifinals and finals end up having to play full possessions with these 2-mil beater sets, but I feel like these teams aren't that drilled at playing them, and it creates some really weird possessions.
Yeah, I agree. I think Austin is a little more drilled at it, especially like the Cavalry Corps, but not so much so New York.
Yeah. Though that was a nice defensive possession by Devin and Tyler to get the first reset. That works out for New York, but I feel like both beaters were a little lazy getting over to that wing play there, right? Like...
Yeah, I would agree.
You can see Tyler here. You're going to see Devin in the picture. And once he gets by Lindsay, nobody really reacts to that. I guess Tyler does eventually. No, that's not Tyler. That's a qualifier carrier. So, yeah, I stand by my statement.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of respect what they're doing. Do they have 2 there? They have 2. Okay, then less so.
Yeah.
If they only had 1, you kind of have to stay home and trust your quaffle player to make that hit, especially if it's your primary point defender.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with the top person staying and kind of staying home to play the beaters, but, like... It's kind of what we were seeing from Boston a lot, where Leanne was running basically end-to-end behind Mario while he was... I think Devin there has to run over to that quaffle.
Yes. Good play by Cole.
Yeah. Be a stoppage.
I think it just ends up a back to hoops for
yeah.
Tyler. Yeah. I think it's a good play by Cole.
What do you think about Devin deciding to run a 1.5 off of that?
I think... In general, if you run a 1.5, your other beater has to be very passive in the back. Well, they can't like Tyler.
Well, Austin has bludger control here, And off of this brooms where Tyler's going back to hoops, Devin throws his ball back and chooses to 1.5.
I think that's okay if Cole's further out of position.
Right.
But the fact that Cole can just get center right there kind of blows it all up.
He also never actually lays a hit on Kylie on the play. I think it was a weird
I think with 1.5 you don't necessarily need to lay a hit.
Yeah, that's fair.
But if Cole's getting back into position, you're just out of position, and nothing good comes to that.
Like, I think I just want Devin to hold the ball, my offense to hold the ball until Tyler gets back in the play. Basically, I don't think did New York even use a reset on that play? I don't think they did.
No.
I guess they got the ball off a back to hoop somehow.
Casey gets a card, I think, and so now they're playing up a quaffle player.
Great reaction times by Devin there. Whew.
I think that's a pass. I don't think it's a shot, but it
worked.
Yeah, it worked. So that's a great pass by John out of there. And then you see Ben Fernandez kind of cutting that back corner.
Right.
And I think that's more of a pass just because of the arc it's on it. It's not quite as direct as some of Lindsay's other shots, but it works.
So they're playing man here. Are they playing man here? Or they're playing that hybrid kind of.
Yeah.
Right? Because Marty runs for this cut, which is why he's not defending that far hoop. Because the keeper holds his ground, so he's not covering the hoop either. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that Ben catches that at the end there kind of shows me that that's a pass more than a shot. So Augie's in. Tate's in. So can we pause for a second? Austin has literally taken this, I'm going to round the corner down the side 3 of the last 3 possessions, and then they immediately pass it back up top.
Yeah, I mean, that's mainly all they did. The only reason I'm okay with it this time is I feel like they pressed the go button before Tate was even in the play. So then Kylie got pressured out of position, and they basically couldn't run the play anymore.
Yeah, I just don't like the idea of we haven't seen them try to take a corner at all.
Right.
Ever since that one tackle on Quincy in the back there.
I don't know why this ball isn't swinging to Casey here.
I also don't know why Garza's that far out of the play. Like, Garza's not even in the picture right now. He's just standing far left corner.
What did Casey do this entire play? She stands out here. Augie doesn't swing it to her. His beaters create the no bludger. Or I guess at least they get Tyler out of position here. And then her reaction is to move back out of the play. Yes. Which is why, I mean, she should have been on the receiving end of that shot that Augie threw, basically.
Correct. I agree.
Finally, Augie's athleticism doesn't save a play after I criticize it, which has happened like 15 times over the course. Oh, wait, it still might save it. Yep. What do I know? Again, it doesn't make it the right play, obviously.
Yeah, I agree. So ball popped out to Marty there, and Marty finally finds, I think, Sammy Garza for that goal.
Yeah, it was just a scramble drill. Austin's been really good at, I think their beaters broke that one up, though, about getting balls out of pileups that don't usually come out of pileups.
So I think
this tournament.
What's happening, because it happened against us.
Yeah, Marty gets one out against you guys.
I think really what's happening there is that we're hearing, like for us at least, we heard beat calls on Marty, and Max, if you watch the play, Max clearly goes up and taps him, and then they just don't call it off of that.
Got it.
And
Makes sense.
So I think that's a lot of what's happening here is that you're hearing these beat calls, you're relaxing in the pile, and then they just get it out.
Makes sense.
So, but they have been very good. They've been very good at capitalizing on it.
Yeah. All right, New York in its second beater set now. And we didn't see much of this beater set in game 1, I don't think. We
saw a lot of Ayala Silver.
But very little Rosenberg.
Yeah.
That's a pretty bad beat to take from that far away. You should be blocking it.
Yeah.
I mean, Ayala Silver's able to recover enough. But now it's going to be a nice press. Or maybe not. I guess Tate saw he was getting the reset anyway. So
I think it's interesting. I don't love that pass by Yada without the pressure.
Right.
Especially with swats being legal. Like, you need to be taking that beat.
Yeah, I think that's really a good point. Kylie doing an excellent job of pressure there.
This one gets tipped off of Austin, yeah. So New York no longer has a reset.
Right. Well, they barely survived having one there. I mean, the pressure is just eventually going to get to them. Oh, good recovery.
Yeah.
Did he just never see it, I guess?
I think he just doesn't see it.
Yeah.
No, that's just really bad by Garza there, I think.
I agree. Yeah, he has plenty of time to see that.
And he should know. Can we go back 1 second
Yeah.
with that? I want to see where his other players are, yeah.
I was going to say, I don't think he had many scoring options, even if that bludger wasn't there.
So
the ball's in his hand. He can watch the entire field as that ball's looping to him, right? He's got all the time in the world. He should see Rosenberg. He should see one player in front of him in case he's not becoming a passing option there. It looks like she's looking for a screen. And then he's got Augie. That's all he's got.
Yeah.
Because I assume the fourth qualified player is just out of the picture behind the play.
I think they're subbing.
I mean, I guess he's seeing that Casey's going to get me to the keeper's own line. I can shoot a mid-range shot.
Yeah, but you already have a super lanky chaser back there in Hagag who's played keeper throughout this series.
Right. Either way, I think you just need to see the beat coming when you have that much time for a ball looping towards you.
Yeah. So Rosenberg came in for, 2 possessions?
Yeah, I think just both of their top 2 beaters were tired from running that 2-mail shift.
I am honestly shocked that New York doesn't use Belitsky more throughout this series.
I like what Walker did there. He went before they crossed midfield, so they didn't have to use a reset. Like, he failed, but it cost them literally nothing.
Correct. Yes.
Good D. I'm surprised I got past Augie there in the first place, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that was a really early pass to the back there. I think too many people loop the ball to that back corner where Hagag is.
Well, this is just a drive, right? He drives all the way.
Oh, does he drive this? I thought
he just drives past Augie.
Oh.
I mean, it is my biggest problem is that he does that, and the placement of Yada and Lindsay is basically off screen on the left.
My other thing is he doesn't take this to the back corner. He takes this to the hoop line and then slows down.
Yeah.
Like there, if he keeps sprinting back, he immediately flips the field of play and gives his other players time to react. Whereas there, he's kind of left out on an island.
I'm surprised New York didn't try to push that as a fast break more with their beaters in front of their quaffle carriers. I mean, I guess Austin's generally very happy with their half court set, but hasn't been as effective this tournament as was in say USQ. Love me a nice arm grab.
Super underutilized in Quidditch in general.
Hey,
Same idea. Yeah. Again, Garza kind of runs in there. The beat's there. But
that's almost... So what's the strategy here? So what happens to Lindsay on this play? Oh, so
she gets beat out.
Okay, so
strategy is Crawford's all the way in the back there, and that's a mismatch.
Right.
You need to swap that. Also, Yada needs to step out.
Yeah, somebody once both the off ball and point defender are beat, someone has to step up there.
Even if you're not going to step all the way out, you need to step just a little bit when that player gets beat out if the ball's going to the player that they just were guarding, just to force anything other than an easy shot. Especially on 9-foot hoops.
Those little tap beats, because Austin is so interchangeable in their physicality, unless you have a plan off of them, they're really not doing anything for you.
So can we pause right here, just freeze frame this?
Yeah.
So Ayala Silver's standing up super high.
Yeah, she's not
doing
basically
anything here.
Right.
New York is walking around into Austin's quote-unquote zone. You can see that they have 3 quaffle players floating around hoops.
Yep.
Austin started breaking this out at the end of MLQ season and into USQ this last year, where they would kind of play a pseudo Baylor,
Yeah.
Where they would just kind of float around the hoops, and then if anyone came into the area, they'd pick them up for a second and then float back.
Right.
So you don't have a pass to Crawford here, though I'm going to guess that as soon as this resumes, the ball's going to go back to him somehow and he's going to score. But you don't really have any angles to any threatening opportunities right now, and part of that is because your beaters are so high and your quaffle is so low.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hagag's in a decent spot where if you hit him in some stride, he's going to be able to create some problems with Crawford as an option as well. But we'll see how it plays out. I just don't like where the beaters are in general. Yeah. See, that's the movement. I think that movement's generally fine. I didn't love the Crawford pass all the way back, but
I think you need to let the beaters come to you.
Yeah. Like, that felt like the beginnings of a good movement to beat a Baylor zone that they just decided not to use anymore. Yeah. Yep. And I think this is why we both don't like the Baylor zone compared to other zones. It leaves that back area wide open, but also leaves the wings wide open. It's just like you don't need 3 people defending the hoops a lot of the time.
Yeah. I think in 9-foot hoops it has some validity, but with the middle hoop tag in, it's kind of hard to justify.
Right. I assume they were just discussing that goal there.
I kind of like that by Walker to relieve the pressure a little bit.
Yep.
Good motion by Casey there when we talked about earlier that she kind of sunk behind the play.
Yeah.
And then she's crashing in this pass.
This is just the same play over again.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's where you want her. Yeah.
Yeah. Augie gets rid of it early. I think he needs to take that beat square on, and then Yada would have to step to his shot. Yep. That's why I think that fails.
Good job by Arian there saving the possession though too.
Mm-hmm. So my biggest frustration with both New York and Austin's offenses is that there's no motion initiated at all off of ball movement whatsoever. Right. It's all initiated off of drives, which is such a heavy commitment option, and it doesn't force the defense to shift.
Also, like, I feel like this is bad on both teams. So Lindsay got beat here. It doesn't look like any New York player is stepping to this. Mm-hmm. And no Austin player is cutting off the idea that Arian's about to get a chance to drive.
Correct. He's going to shoot this on the left hoop,
right.
If I remember correctly, and miss. Yeah. So that's really bad. I think that's really bad positioning by Yada, too, at keeper. I think keeper positioning is so important in MLQ. And by stepping so flat to the hoops there is absolutely no way that he's getting to that.
Oh yeah, I mean, once none of his teammates went anywhere, he had to start stepping up. Like there's no option there. You have to start cutting off angles.
Yes.
But it just kind of felt like overall it was kind of bad defense.
Mm-hmm. Like that shot is a missed shot. It was a wide open one though.
Yeah, I think Arian's the only person who did the right thing in that play, and every other person on New York and Austin did the wrong things.
Yeah.
I guess we'll give Tate the benefit of the doubt, too, for his tap beat.
Mm-mm. Well, he got a blue card on it, so he did something wrong.
So that was too fast.
So, transition. Again, gets caught up in that parallel to the hoops.
Yeah.
That's super ugly. You have to take that far behind, or you have to stay up top and drive dead center.
Yeah, he's like you said, he's making his cuts at hoop level, which makes him completely not a threat to score and lets everything sit back and absorb whatever he's looking to do.
If the worst place to be in Quidditch with the ball is in line with the hoops.
Right. Unless you're up against a hoop zone or something like that.
Even then, you can't. You want to be at a higher angle. Yeah, you want to have the option to drive at the hoops in a way that you could score.
I don't like. Why is Austin not using their reset here? They're up against a beater power play, so New York's of course going to press. And then Kylie gets blown up, I believe, by Tyler right here. Okay, it's going to happen eventually. There it is. Why is Augie trying to go in? What's the game plan there?
I don't know. I think it's a good one. I kind of understand the idea of running to kill time, but he ran right into the best point defender, one of the best point defenders at this tournament.
Yep. I also, that doesn't happen enough in Quidditch, so Lindsay's going to throw this pass, and she's immediately going to follow her own pass with a cut, which so many people don't do, which is why they score this goal.
Well, she does a really great job here. This is perfect. Is she pauses for a second so that it looks like she's not following the pass.
Right. She waits for the eyes to come off of her, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. In basketball, like, if anyone has all watched like Steph Curry, the way he plays, it's all about passing and cutting with him, and that's the whole reason he's able to get so wide open for things like that. Right. And that's really underutilized in Quidditch.
For sure. Either way, though, I think it's Austin's fault that New York got a goal off of that beater power play after failing to score on the first time.
I agree, and it's very uncharacteristic of them.
Yep.
Good defense by New York.
New beater pair for Austin as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Why is New York so wide here at beater pair? Like, that's just isolating Walker on an island there. Or a Silver, whoever they want to attack.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Silver's... So Silver's stepping to ball, I guess?
I just wouldn't do that with Crawford.
Yeah.
Like, I understand why you would do it with a potentially weaker point defender, but people have like a 20% success rate of getting past Crawford in the open field this weekend.
The arm strength it took for him to make that tackle was insane, by the way.
Yeah.
Good field awareness by Marty there to not use a reset that he didn't have to use.
Potentially something happened in the bludger play. Oh, so unfortunate. Oh, so unfortunate for Austin. Good take.
Yeah, that's the thumbnail picture for this video right there. Mo just posterizing Augie.
Yeah.
So Austin's taking a timeout there, and I think it's just they have to figure out something in the bludger game, right? Because that's where they're getting run off the field at the moment.
Yeah, and this beater pair doesn't see the field in game 2 of the finals.
Yeah.
I think they're just trying to buy some time for Kylie with this, but it's clearly not working.
Yeah. And I wonder if Kylie was feeling fresh and Tate was just getting tired if you don't try going to Jack first.
So, new beater pair for New York, too. Janice Liu and Jeff Ebner. Lyndon Garfinkel in 2.
I like this from New York because if you think of yourselves as the slight underdogs and you get up a small lead that you don't think you're going to be able to run away with, it's the perfect time to get some of your depth in and rest your players for the time that's going to count.
Yeah.
So I think it's a reasonable sub from New York. And then you use that timeout to basically be an extra minute of rest for them, and then you can get them right back in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we did that with our MLQ stuff. We never went a game where we just ran like our top 2 beater lines. We just bought time. Can we pause? Can we rewind that for 20 seconds? So New York does the right thing at the beginning of this play where Yada and Mo switch when Mo gets beat out. And it's the first time we've ever seen someone step to ball in this. And then they immediately go away from it.
Let's see. So that beat hits Mo and Janice, so that's also very unfortunate.
So in this possession, like 20 seconds before they run that swap.
Got it. Because I was going to say, Yada's still not going out here on that tap beat.
Correct. It's right before this that this happens.
I mean, this is an absurd amount of space Augie's getting here.
Yep.
It's basically from 7 yards out all the way to the hoops.
I think New York also, one thing we've noticed, and it's pretty readily apparent with Landon there, is New York has a tendency to mark really tightly in non-threatening areas. We saw earlier Taylor Crawford was marking behind the hoops option where there was never a pass getting to them, but easily like 10 to 15 feet behind hoops. And then there was someone, you watched, I think Garza earlier, literally just drag Ben Fernandez all the way to the back left corner of the field.
Because Austin never uses those spaces, basically.
Yeah.
I think you guys do some of that where you have Das to not go all the way out with somebody. She kind of hangs a little bit closer to the hoops. Mm-hmm. Good pressure by Austin there. And this is where it kind of feels like the beating switched, where now Cole seems like the best beater on the pitch by a mile, and it's kind of expressing itself. Which makes sense when it's 3 college beaters in Cole.
Mm-hmm. I think a beat on Cole wasn't called there, but that's what happens in that mix-up. Good. Can we rewind that?
Sure.
Real quick? I just want to see how New York got to that back. Look.
So Landon drives, gets wrapped. That's a good look at Lindsay. And then the defense has to shift to her. Yeah.
Yep. Good fakes.
Yeah.
He freezes Augie there, and Arian has to freeze to that back one.
That was a really confident play by Landon there to absorb the contact and swing it to and know where your wing player is.
Must have been that Maryland game where he and Frank just drove through the entirety of Maryland for like 15 straight minutes.
So I guess it was no good, but they gave New York the ball? I have no recollection of what the call on this play was. I think that was a little impatient from Cole, even though it worked out.
I don't love that by New York either. I don't love the idea of just walking up behind your beater like that. And notice how tight they were.
Yeah.
Like Jackson's maybe 10 feet away. It's an easy turnaround and beat for Cole.
Right. It was a really short shift for Cole, even though he's playing well.
I think part of that is they're trying to cycle through everyone pre-snitch on pitch.
This is, again, that lack of New York rotations, right?
Well, they're down a beater.
Right.
But yes, I agree. So Landon gets beat out.
The ball goes to Casey. John steps to Casey, and then nobody steps to John, basically.
Yeah. I think Landon didn't step out there. I think, again, it's just the keepers of New York's not being willing to step out.
Yeah.
That's really the biggest thing that's missing in this rotation.
I think New York's going to be done with that beater set now. Yeah, El Silva right back in. She's played basically every minute except for the 2 male set at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Devin gets beat on that small duck down. Good by Jack to fake him into that position because then he couldn't move.
Yeah, I will say, though, we've talked a lot about how clean some of these presses from Austin have been, but look how Claire does nothing to help Jack on this play. Like, he's lucky he plays it perfectly, and even playing it perfectly, if he just hits Lindsay there, they get away with the reset, I think, because Claire doesn't step up. And she's also not an active participant in the fast break. That whole play was... she was subbing out for Kylie. Yep, yeah. But then that's also a weird play. Don't go for a fast break if your beaters are subbing.
Yeah. Good finish by New York to keep... Or not finish. Good stop by New York to keep Augie up top center for the beater to make a play.
By the way, this is a no-value pick that he's considering setting here. Like, there's no matchup options you're going to get that are better or worse by setting that screen.
Really aggressive play by Jack there.
Yeah, it's kind of the play that Cole just made that we thought was a little too aggressive. And not really the way Austin had been playing a lot of the time, right? Like, their beaters were not pressing that high.
Yeah, I think Austin started to creep out a little bit further, higher and higher in this game. They started really compact, and they've started spreading out a little bit more as a whole. Like, the chasers were meeting at keeper's own line, basically. And now they're shrinking back into it. But less so.
Yeah, they finally ended up kind of in one of their 2-2 type sets.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of that attack, by the way. They swung it to Lindsay, and then everybody made a cut to dangerous spaces, and she just didn't have the pass available, so she just reset it. But I like the way they look to attack that. This I like a lot less so, the way too compact two Quaffle players.
Yeah, I think you have to spread out and take that kind of out, like towards back corner.
They do get budget control out of the situation. They get the ball?
No.
Okay.
Almost, but no.
Yeah, pile-ups have really been an adventure in these semifinals and finals. So this is, I think, the deepest line we see from New York from Austin for the entire semifinals and finals, at least in the Quaffle game.
Mm-hmm. This gets called an illegal reset.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. I don't hate it as a call, but I understand the frustration with it.
Right. Is an errant pass the same thing as a pass that wasn't to anybody?
I think if it's an errant pass and Gregoire is across half, I think you're fine. But the fact that he was on this side of half and they threw it over half creates the issue. So Austin sinks into a wall look as soon as Crawford goes behind.
Right.
And then kind of floats out of it on the press. I hate that by Yada. I really hate the blocking.
Yeah.
You have Morella wide open far left.
Yep.
He, rather than flipping it to her, he goes for this silly
and you're up
block.
against a very, very good beater who's not going to be dumb about it.
Yeah.
You're right.
I think that's a really bad... It somehow works out, sort of.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a foolish thing.
I like Weishart making Molina's job tough there. I don't know why he goes to throw at Devin in that case.
What was Gregoire doing there?
We'll back him all the way.
Yeah, so we can talk about the Weishart situation first.
Right. So she's going to wrap Molina... Because in the wall, you don't really ever want to throw, right? Your beaters are just supposed to sit further and further back. So he's fine where he is, and he's kind of pump faking Devin, which is fine. And then she wraps him.
She wraps his throwing arm area, too, which is good.
Yeah, she's going to get him a second time. He basically threw without a step, which is what made it so inaccurate. Okay,
and Devin's clearly going for a block there. He wasn't in a throwing position.
Exactly. So. There was no rush to throw. So then where is Gregoire? Is he on the near hoop here?
So no, he's on the far hoop. It's just more about that Crawford shoots on the one hoop he's covering. And
it doesn't get blocked.
Yeah. So here, So Crawford does a really good job of, rather than camping up by hoops, he gets space in the back. McBride has to step to him. And then that shot goes through.
I think it might have literally been that the fact that the shot was left-handed, so it in-curled instead of out-curled, that got it past Gregoire.
Yeah.
I love how quickly Devin pressed that off of that tap beat.
Good form tackle by Morella.
Weishart really out of position there, but doesn't get punished for it.
Oh, this was the great... Yeah, Yada takes this away. I don't know why Crawford runs there.
Well, was he literally just trying to take the beat? Was that the idea? I think that's what he does. Let's see. I think he looks like he sees the beat, and yeah, he takes it.
So, but why not just warn... So Yada misses this shot.
Oh, he missed the shot. Okay.
Yada misses this shot.
That's important context for my analysis.
Sorry, Yada misses the shot because there's 3 people swarming, or 2 people getting in his way. And he misses the floater.
Yeah. To be fair, I mean, it's a 5-yard floater. I feel like it should just be made.
I agree, but I still think that if you have people bearing down on you,
Yeah.
if I'm Taylor in that situation, I'm yelling to him beat incoming and cutting to that opposite hoop to maybe drag someone away, and then that floater's even easier.
I think it's fair.
Austin goes to their 2-mail set.
Yeah, big for Snitch on pitch play.
Yep.
Augie right away wins an exchange.
Then loses one.
Yep.
And
again, the offense wasn't ready to go off of any of that, so the beaters were distracted.
But I don't think that matters. Like here, so we talked about this before, right? Snitch on pitch, I don't care about scoring going into the 30 seconds if I know it's going to be close, especially in MLQ.
Right.
Like this, I don't really care about scoring. I just care about getting control back. But they have control, don't they? Then why?
They must Tate must have they did not have control during that play. This is a really weird play.
Oh, this is later in the play. Sorry, 1920. Augie goes in,
right,
and tries to make a play for control.
But he must have gotten control off of it somehow. Tate must have cleaned it up,
which is what you want, and then that's the 20-minute mark.
Yep.
So that's what you want. You don't really care about scoring there. You just care about having control to start Snitch on pitch.
Yep.
Especially given who they are. Like Austin has been so Snitch reliant for the last 2 years, 3 years.
So I think New York's getting the ball. Yeah. It works out, but that's an unnecessarily risky pass from Lindsay under no pressure there.
Mm-hmm. Good pass to Crawford in the back there. Good use of the push by Augie there, too.
Yeah.
Interesting play by Gregoire there to kind of float it as he takes the contact. I don't hate it.
Yeah. Austin using more pick and roll concepts than they later use against Boston in this similar situation, which is interesting.
I mean, you should, basically in Snitch on pitch, you should be using pick and roll.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They should be doing it every time. They do it less against Boston is what I meant. You guys use it a lot against them, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, that's
it just makes sense.
It's been my concept for Snitch on pitch for the last 3 years has been that you basically should right now be using anyone as a screener rather than trying to fight through 3 or 4 people.
I didn't like Taylor fighting through all that, even though it worked out.
No, I think it's poor because Taylor is their best shot at getting a stop here and going up 2. And if he's just using all his energy to drive through people, he can't run and make these stops here.
I also didn't like Matthew trying to drive through Taylor there. Good response by John, though. But yeah, they should literally be, especially when they have, Lindsay and Molly on the field, like it should just be working through those open people or just positioning those people by open hoops, and it should be really free goals. Because Austin doesn't even have length at keeper or anything like that. Like Matthew's not a very long keeper by any means.
Yeah, I mean, I think you really just have to run a pick and roll with the unmarked player and hope that Austin shifts to you, and then you pass to the even more unmarked player.
Well, there's your Beliski sub going into the box right after he came into the game.
I think Cole also does. I think both teams are down to 1 beater.
Oh, this is New York giving up the goal. Yeah. Do you score that goal if you're Austin there?
You have to. You take a blue card otherwise.
Well, I mean, are you sure Ricky calls that there? If they pass it around the zone?
I think if you're so technically you're supposed to. I think people still see delay of game as only stepping over half, and then after that you don't have to make any action.
Sure.
But that's not true.
I would personally at least check with the ref.
I would wait till I got a delay of game warning, and then I'd go.
By the way, I love everything Molly and Lindsay do here. They literally just both end up past Aaron.
It's the pass and move concept.
Yeah, we're using the player who's unmarked. Exactly. Yeah.
Pass and move. Move the ball or move yourself. That's the number 1 rule.
I mean, Austin at some point here has to start thinking about beaters in the Quaffle game.
Yes.
That was a better pick and roll concept there from Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Because New York needs 3 more goals.
Yep, and Austin needs 2. Or no, Austin needs 4. Sorry, I can't do math.
Yeah. New York's been... I've really been happy with all the concepts they've thrown into this pitch.
Can we pause this for one second?
Yeah.
So just going off of what we know from the finals and what we know from the semis, Austin isn't making any stops.
Right.
Period. Like in our games, they make one or two against us.
It's very few.
It's very few and far between. It seems like they, as soon as the beaters are out, because they've played kind of these zone floating looks, they're not quite ready to settle into that hard man that you need to play in Snitch on pitch.
Right. They're in these floating zone looks, plus now they're playing 2 male beaters, plus Augie's not in the quaffle game for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because, in this one specifically, I thought John just drove and then dished to the unmarked player. But Molly's the unmarked player. Aaron literally lets Lindsay get a step on her for no apparent reason over here.
I think she saw that Casey gets beat around the corner and kind of steps in to help. But even so, it's just, you can see the way they're set up. The way, even just the stances that people are in. Casey is the only one who's set in a ready-to-move stance. Everyone else is kind of flat-footed.
Austin should not push the quaffle here right now, by the way, while Josh is getting infinite time with the Snitch.
Yeah, absolutely not.
It seems like Garza's recognizing that. Yeah, I think he is. Unclear.
If I'm New York here too,
yeah,
I'm literally just knowing Austin's preference to always play Seeker no matter what. I'm just kind of hanging out. I'm sending my Seeker in, and I'm kind of pulling my beaters back a little bit into the quaffle game. If the ball gets passed up to where the beaters are, I'm telling them to turn their attention for half a second and make that pressure beat.
Right. And worth noting that, just math-wise, that goal doesn't get Austin any closer to winning by a Snitch grab. It only gets them closer to winning by quaffle points. They were already in range to win by a Snitch grab.
Yep.
So it didn't make sense to go for it. And also, like you were saying, I would love, and I think it's kind of a next level thing. I think Max, to a degree, already kind of does it. But if New York's one of their beaters just turns around and just beats Garza there where he's standing at top, there's no way Garza sees it coming, and you just get a free turnover.
Exactly, yeah. And that's kind of the thing we talked about that Max does. But I think with current seasons, you'll have to see that adjustment.
So you just have to assume that the line was gassed, right? And that's why New York has to make these subs. Because just from a strict standpoint of how this team conceptually wants to attack here, it's a way worse combination of players. I feel like John is your best keeper and Taylor is your best quaffle player for these scenarios, and now they're both off the field. And the question is, could either one have stayed in the game at least for a couple extra possessions?
Or if let's say you're New York here, right? I would literally tell Sean, I'd be like, your whole job is to go in and kill 45 seconds and tell John, get water, get there, get ready to close this out.
Exactly.
Right? Sean can just stand here. They do score. Yeah. They do score. But even after that, this run through, that's a great play.
That's all you have to do. You just have to find Molly on every single possession. Nobody can defend her.
Right now, I'm literally telling John to just be drinking water and get ready to go.
I mean, you need one goal at this point. These are ridiculous athletes. Hypothetically, any of them can do a 30-second something, you know?
Yep. And Devin's doing a good job to come into the quaffle game.
That's a great play
here.
by Devin. Yep. Oh,
even though it doesn't work out. There?
Even though he got beat on the leg, yeah.
I mean, even if he doesn't, that's still a great play. That's the right idea.
I agree. So it's 110-100 now. I think both scores are outdated.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Yep.
So if I'm New York here, you just saw the Snitch go down. You have a 3-second count. I'm turning all my beaters to quaffle immediately.
Yeah. They also don't let Lindsay get into the play, and we've seen that New York's been scoring off of numbers every time. They're not driving. I think John maybe drove through once, but they're not driving through most of the time. They're using the numbers, so it's a problem that Lindsay's not in the play yet. It does look. Yeah.
So you flip it back to Yada right now.
Yeah, it does look like Devin is in the play. By the way, he just doesn't have a bludger.
So look at all this. So if Lindsay gets in this play.
Yeah.
This
Lindsay.
Look
If
at where
Lindsay's
Devin is.
The game is over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So right now, this ball needs to go back to Yada. It just has to.
Or he just needs to get to here and flip it to Molly. Molly's in the right spot.
I honestly don't love the Molly with the, because you see the momentum he's carrying there.
Yeah.
Gregoire literally just runs straight to Molly at that point.
Once he's flat-footed, though. Molly should be moving a little bit further that way.
Yeah, everyone needs to pop to it's the zone breaking concepts that we talked about, right? In how to break a 2-2.
Right.
Like, there's no one on that opposite hoop.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
You could also go to Lindsay here.
Yep.
The shot is just
worst decision you can make against a quote unquote zone look, which is what Austin is in right now with all their quaffle players.
It's worse
there.
than a drive attempt. Like, I wouldn't have liked a drive attempt, but that is worse than a drive attempt.
Yep. So Austin also, like, in general, is just right now part of the end game issue, and we saw it in the finals, is that everyone is rushing to score that great goal to end the game.
Yeah.
Right?
It's also wild that Austin is still letting Devin run around and beat their quaffle players at this point. And he gets the turnover there.
So if I'm New York, I'm slowing the game down.
Yep.
I'm bringing my one... Do we have control here? Do they have control?
So Devin is on 2 balls, and then Tate has the 3rd ball. So Devin can attack... Oh, we don't get to see that play. Bummer. Yeah. So we can't analyze it. It happens.
So they have control.
Yep.
Ish. Do they? Yep.
Yep. That throwback should have gotten him control.
So why is Walker trying to clear?
Yeah, so I think we're not going to see, because I think, again, this was the stream glitching. Like, Tyler's out of this game for a long time. There was no reason for him to be walking there. He should have been in the play. They get budget control. Yeah, that's really bad. Or is Devin going to clean it up? Nope.
No, this is the one where he doesn't. Yeah, he gets cleared. And so whether that hit Gregoire or not in that situation, that's a bad throw.
Yeah, why are you making that throw? I'm not even sure they get the quaff off of it hitting Gregoire.
So why is... An Austin Seeker is defending.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just the standard Austin defense idea.
I think that's him just not making live adjustments more than anything else. It's that Yada card. I don't think there's much to say there.
I don't think you need to make the hit there. I think you just need to stay with and push out.
But I don't think it was... I'm not even sure it was an illegal hit is the thing.
Yeah, that's fine. Good pick and roll idea.
All right. So at this point, I mean...
They do sub back to John.
Yeah, but why not also Taylor?
Yep. Do they go to Taylor? Is this Taylor? Yep. There he is. Okay, so if I'm New York here, match point, Lindsay is up at the high top of the key there for no reason. Why do they go? So they go to Rosenberg.
Right. So the difference is now we're actually in a standard offense. And if we're in a standard offense, let's kill some time, right? Frank is alone with Tyler. And you know their beaters aren't doing anything about him. So, like, I know it seems weird when you're 10 points away from winning, but why not at least take the opportunity that Frank's getting?
So this is what we did in game 2, is we just killed time. We were like, we can't get on the top side of this.
Right. And so I assume they're getting budget control off that beat. So why not reset? I mean, I guess they didn't even have to. They kept possession, so that's fine.
Yep.
All right, so now they've got budget control. No, they still don't have budget
No, they
control.
lost control. This is the run-in, try to find Gregoire. He jumps on top of Lindsay and looks for the card. And then John steps out.
Yep. I didn't hate the idea, to be honest. Like, it was probably an inch away from working.
I think it's a great play.
Yeah.
I just am going through in my head what I remember about it.
That's a great call by Josh Mansfield, by the way.
Yes.
To be on that sideline to see those feet.
So ball goes over. It's not a reset because it's immediate on turnover possession. Well, yep, this is the weird pass to Davis. So can we pause for a second?
Yep.
So where's so Davis is all the way off, I'm assuming way off to the left here.
Yeah, I guess Molly's covering him.
No, I think Molly's on Aaron.
Got it. Yep.
The ball, yep, Augie's there. with Casey. Casey's not really in a threatening position. I think she's just maybe setting a screen.
Yeah. It's worth noting that I'm pretty sure Casey was pretty badly injured by this point in the tournament.
Yep.
Which I think definitely affected her effectiveness on both ends of the field.
Mm-hmm.
So they create the no bludger, which is what you want.
Yep.
So why isn't somebody covering Davis there?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's
so. Molly's on Aaron, but like
Casey, Lindsay's on Casey, or is Lindsay just?
Lindsay's on Matthew, right?
Yep.
That's
Yep. Crawford.
Yeah.
Goes to Matthew.
Yeah. So the 3 covers should be Matthew, Davis, and Casey.
Correct.
And this isn't something like New York's messed up at any point in this game. It's just a really weird time for that to get messed up. In Molly and Lindsay's defense, like they played the last, 20 straight minutes of this game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think at this point it's just exhaustion.
Yeah.
I think New York was just gassed, but there's a lot of things that they could do to solve that being gassed problem.
Sure.
In terms of just strict execution.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Any last takeaways from that game?
When it comes to last goal situations like this, whether it's in USQ to push up 40 or it's in MLQ to win the game, you really need to have a set game plan on what you're going to do. And it seems like neither one of these teams really had that idea of how we're going to end the game. Right. Whereas Boston in game 1 knew that we're going to try and look for Grace on that open pass across after these couple of shots. Like they had a game plan to come back to her.
Yeah, it's something I talked about in one of the other videos a bit, where I still feel like we're in the learning stages of the new rule sets, and I feel like a lot of these teams existed in a way that made them seem like they hadn't fully been able to prepare for them. Which, I mean, makes sense. It was a new rule set in a 3-month-long league. Like, these things
absolutely.
Do happen.
And I think both of these teams didn't have non-playing coaches, correct? Like, Augie was the coach for Austin, and then Yada was the coach for New York, correct?
Yeah, I mean, Austin, I can't tell how it is, but in the finals specifically, someone comes on the field a lot with a hat that clearly wasn't playing, but I'm not sure the status there.
Yeah, so I think you really, especially with this endgame scenario, you need to have a person who is not going on the field,
right,
to make that happen.
Yeah, because it gets so complex, like
yeah.
you were saying.
Yeah.
I also think like if anybody had time to break down this before the finals, like I think at the time we were just like New York played very well, and don't get me wrong, New York did play very well, but like there were a lot of chinks that were in the armor for Austin that were very evident if you could have looked at this in an analytical spot, like at that moment. But like I was calling the games, you were coaching a team, like. But yeah, they really struggled on offensive sets, and their defense definitely was a little bit shaky at times.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the stands in the back of this video. I was watching this entire series like as a one-to-one analytical mindset, and that definitely allowed us to exploit some of their issues in the later games.
For sure. All right, well, that's going to do it for us today. Nik, thanks so much for coming on, and everybody, you take care.